This bulletin is coming to you live from our studios here at Kokomlemle in Accra on digital address GA0993341 on Joy 99.7 FM. It's also live on Love 99.5 FM in Kumasi, affiliates across the country on ABN Radio in London and around the world at myjoyonline.com. The news is brought to you by UMB Bank, UMB Speed Up, Digibank, Let's Go, Telesol 4G, proudly Ghanaian, Telesol, Just a Touch, and Mark Auto Parts Ghana, distributors of Isuzu and Chevy cars. Mark Auto Parts Ghana with you for the long run. Coming up in this edition, students of Nkwanta Senior High School accused of raping female teachers and teachers' wives as school authorities meet teachers who say they have suffered psychological trauma following last week's students' riot.
Going as far as raping teachers' wives, raping female teachers on campus. So they have gone through a lot of psychological trauma.
We'll speak live to the Municipal Director of Education as more Ghanaians continue to die from accidents on the Medina Adenta Highway. We'll hear from some school authorities there who reveal parents are withdrawing the awards for fear of losing them.
The traffic light is not working, so it's not helping our situation at all. Apart from that, the school has lost some of the children, but the parents are afraid. They come to school only to be told that they are knocked down by a car.
We'll bring you details as residents continue to pile pressure on government in sports.
Former Black Stars player Odatelamte sees nothing wrong should Coach Kwesi Appiah name the Ayew brothers in his squad for Ghana's game against Ethiopia this month.
And later in the bulletin,
National Cathedral is a spiritual direction.
It's a spiritual direction, so it's a good thing.
It's a good thing by the time it's wrong.
Could the building of the National Cathedral be a prophetic direction? We'll hear from Prophet Nigel Gacy, who insists it is but questions its timing. He also prophesies an NDC victory in 2020.
I've repeatedly said that they have won, and if they should bring the former president, they'll win.
We have all that and more coming up here on the Midday News with me, Emefa Apau. We settle for the details now, and teachers of the Nkwanta Senior High School are requesting for a 1-month period to recover from the psychological trauma they suffered as a result of last week's students' riot. The school was closed down indefinitely last Tuesday following a riot staged by students in protest of seizure of their mobile phones. The school was subsequently closed down after several stakeholders' meetings with a possible reopening on Monday, November 5. But the proposal of the reopening has been met with a fierce rejection from the teachers who are requesting for some time off the classroom. Felix Owusujima is a business accounting teacher at the school and has been explaining why.
In front of them and be teaching, whilst a student will be threatening to kill the teacher just because he's ensuring that the writing is done. That is why we have sent that petition. Notwithstanding that fact, we'll just have a look at the properties that were destroyed. Both government and personal properties that have been destroyed. At least there should be a solution, or there should be an issue at stake that once this issue has happened, the elders will put things in place in order to ensure amicable solutions, so that when we teach them, we'll be able to teach them with all our heart and might.
So authorities are yet to meet the requests of the teachers, but we can hear from Paul Boafunyako. He's the headmaster of the Nkwanta Senior High School.
Going as far as raping teachers' wives, raping female teachers on campus. So they have gone through a lot of psychological trauma. So before even they can go and stand in front of the students and teach them, they need a psychotherapist to come and take them through all those things so that they'll be able to recycle themselves before they can go back to the classrooms.
Some allegations there made against some of the students by the headmaster of Nkwanta Senior High School, Paul Boafunyako. And we'll get to speak to the Municipal Director of Education, Stephen Chwatope, on whether the requests by these teachers have been made known to the education department there in the region. But as and when we're able to raise him, we'll get to speak to him. But away from that, some KNUST past and current students say government's continuous interference in who constitutes membership of the university's governing council is likely to delay reopening of the school. Students are expected back on campus on November 8 after they were sent home for damaging school properties in a protest. The university's old governing board was dissolved to pave way for a new one expected to resolve the concerns of students. Yesterday, government announced no old member of the council will be part of the new one. At a media briefing today, the students, calling themselves School Must Reopen Now movement, asked government to allow parties involved to choose their own members and not interfere interfere in the membership. Here's former SRC President Samuel Amwakukusi.
Is rather making organizations like UTAC and TEU decide to go on strike, which will literally affect whether lectures can go on, because even if students come on Thursday, the lecturers are still on strike. So we just think that you should just back down on that decision. Let them choose their own representatives. After that, school can reopen, lectures can resume. After all, government has changed all its members. So what it means is that we have at least about 7 or 8 new members joining council out of 30. So we think that that will be enough to effect any change government wants to do.
So you heard there Samuel Amwakukusi is the former SRC president.
So should we keep on dying till 2019? I wish one day we could wake up in the morning and hear that the road signs are being fixed, but no, we only wake up to hear death, death, death.
You heard there the plea of a resident in the wake of the needless deaths from accidents on the Adenta-Medina highway. As more Ghanaians continue to die from accidents on that stretch, it is imagined that some parents are withdrawing their children from schools along that stretch. At least 192 people have died since the beginning of this year as a result of the incomplete footbridges to enable residents cross the road. Although government has indicated it may not be able to complete the construction of the footbridge until next year, the residents have resolved to file pressure on government to address the needless deaths. Only yesterday, 2 pedestrians were knocked down by a speeding vehicle whilst trying to cross the road. One of the residents, Ni, tells Joy News he lost 3 of his friends to accidents on the stretch and cannot wait for a year for the footbridges to be completed.
So should we keep on dying till 2019? Just a few minutes ago, a child is being hit right here. Yesterday, Joy FM was at Bingo to interview just yesterday. And then just this afternoon, because we wake up every morning to hear death, death. I wish one day we could wake up in the morning and hear that the road signs are being fixed, the traffic light is on, the road marks are in, the reflectors are working. But no, we only wake up to hear death, death, death.
Ni is a resident of the Adenta-Medina area. Now, meanwhile, school heads along the highway say some parents are withdrawing their children. There are at least 5 schools dotted along the stretch, and authorities say the 2019 timeline for fixing bridges on the stretch means many more people will be knocked and killed by speeding vehicles. My colleague Komla Adum is on the Medina-Adenta stretch and joins us live. So, Komla, where exactly are you standing? And paint a picture for us, for those listening, about how many people we know have been affected by this. Hello, Komla.
Hello, MFA.
Okay, so if you can hear me, I'm asking exactly where you are standing on the Adenta-Medina stretch and paint a picture for us about how many people have been affected as we speak.
Well, MFA, I just left the Adenta area, specifically Tortu Teen School. I am currently standing at the gate of the Lankwantanang DA Primary School, and just on my left, there's also another school, that's Elim Schools, and these 2 schools are not too far away from the Zongo Junction, which is part of the Medina-Adenta Highway, which has been one of the, dangerous roads for many people who commute there on a daily basis. I've been speaking to headmaster of the Tortu Teen School, Mr. Kwesi Ahin Kwansa, and he says in the last few months, they've seen car knockdowns right in front of their school, and it is a worry to them. We can listen to him now.
The rate at which cars knock people here is alarming. So we took it upon ourselves to visit the contractors. What they told us was they were not paid. Now we come to school every day and we are the comfort of the Almighty God. But the way the cars speed, anytime you are knocked down, you will die. And for that matter, we solicited some wardings for us to give them allowance at the end of every month. The traffic light is not working, so it's not helping our situation at all. Apart from that, the school has lost some of the children, but the parents are afraid. They come to school only to be told that they are knocked down by a car.
So, Komla, I'm sure you've been interacting with some of the students as well. What have they been telling you?
Well, some of the students say, the only way they have now is to use the dangerous route to school because there's no alternative for them. I spoke to a JHS1 pupil, for example, who says every morning they have to take that wild journey across from Zongo Junction to the Nkwantanang School, where they actually have classes on a daily basis. Earlier, I spoke to a teacher off record. She told me that in the last 3 months, 4 of their pupils have been knocked down on this particular stretch, and out of the 4, 1 of them has lost his life. And that is the situation at the Nkwanta 9 LA school here at Medina. And at LM, which is also just opposite in Nkwanta 9, the director of the school tells me that at least 5 of their children have been affected by this knockdown on the main road. One of the students had his mother knocked and killed while she was bringing her to school one fine morning. That's about 5 months ago. And so, according to all these reports, it's a danger which, if not resolved anytime soon, many more children and their parents may lose their lives on this stretch.
You heard my colleague Komla Adum reporting from the Adenta Medina Highway. Now, the Ghana Education Service says it has posted new teachers following concerns by some heads of senior high schools as the end of Green Track approaches. Students who were placed on the first part of the double track system are scheduled to return home on November 8, with those placed on the Gold Track expected to start school. But ahead of that, headmaster of the Accra Senior High School is worried about the late posting of the teachers and its implications for teaching and learning.
We should have the teachers, the newly recruited teachers who are coming, we have to have them on time so that we can orient them. You see, maybe they are new teachers, they have not had experience, so we should, normally that's what we do. So if we get them on time, we can orient them, take them through some orientation to know even the culture of the school in the first place. Because if you don't know the culture of the school, you do things which are untoward. Okay, so if they come and we give them orientation, they are in better position to adjust and quickly adjust to the situation. So that's one gap I hope the government will rectify.
Meanwhile, the Ghana National Association of Teachers is asking teachers to cope with the issues of vacation on the new calendar that have come in the wake of the new semester system and the double track system. Central Regional NAT says it is excited at the prospect of the double track system as the first phase ends in 2 days, but wants more education to be done to make the policy successful. Richard Kujonyako has our agenda today.
I was a science student, so they said we should go to that class. When I went there, I saw about 150 students in a classroom. So, where am I going to sit? I was confused.
Sounds of some pioneers of the free senior high school policy at the just ended Graphic Stanbic Bank dialogue on the double track system in Cape Coast. The students recall unpalatable moments they had in the last academic year. This ranged from overcrowded classroom, poor quality food served them, and a host of others. Now, the new academic year beckons, and the cafes are busy.
Oh, me bad subject offending. I get no nyano, me new school.
I came here to check where my son was placed. Thank God my son has been placed at Bremene Sikuma Senior High School. He is on the second track. I'm really happy. This will afford me the opportunity to prepare adequately. Daniela Ipe is a parent. He is lucky because he's been able to check the son's placement. Not everyone here at the cafe has had it smooth like Mr. Ipe. The senior high schools that ultimately will accommodate the students are without much activity today because schools are yet to return from vacation. But are the schools prepared at all?
Since we vacated this past July, almost every week the academic board meets because new development come in almost every week, and therefore we have to also base ourselves for it. And almost every now and then we have to recall for academic board meeting to know the way forward and how feverishly the school can prepare towards the reopening of the next academic year.
Judni Odatemisa is a head of department in one of the senior high schools in Cape Coast. He feels in every new policy there are bound to be hiccups, and such hiccups can be surmounted with sober minds.
Well, obviously, since it's a new system or it's a new whatever, there's some nervousness because every now and then most of my teachers will come in and say, am I in track 1 or track 2? But once it's a new system, we believe that let's get it started and see how best we can overcome the challenges that come with it.
Already, the teachers who are supposed to go for track 1 and track 2 do not know, have not been informed, but the authorities of the school, they know already. So they are waiting that when school reopens, there will be a general staff meeting for the policy to be explained vividly to these teachers. So if you are on track 2, then you exit the system and you come with the student that will come on the track 2. If you are for track 1, then you stay and then you go with track 1. My name is Richard Kujonyako for Joy News.
So our agenda, raising concerns about why teachers have not been posted even as they prepare for the gold track, the second phase of the double track system. We are told that the Ghana Education Service has just issued a statement saying that it's posted new teachers to schools running the double track system. Joy News editor Fred Smith has a copy of that statement and joins us in studio with it. What does it say, Fred?
MFI signed by Cassandra Chum Ampofo. She is head of public relations at the Ghana Education Service, and the statement says the Director General of the Ghana Education Service is announcing for the information of the general public, particularly those who took part in the aptitude test for recruitment into the service, that the results of their exercise have been released. The candidates have been posted to specific schools to teach specific subjects as indicated against their names. Candidates are to note that they will be on probation for 1 year, within which they should ensure that they pass the teacher professional licensure examination for their appointment to be confirmed. Successful candidates are to indicate their acceptance of the appointment to the headmasters by Friday, the 15th of November 2018. And results for the test and appointments letter can be accessed. They provide a website for that.
So it's more like Joy News gets results. We'll definitely follow up and be sure that these teachers have definitely been posted. But there's a development on the Adenta Medina Highway story we did earlier. We're told that the Ghana Highways Authority has voted 12 million cedis for the completion of the 6 incomplete bridges on the Medina Adenta Highway. The authorities, however, are unable to finish all 6 before the end of 2019, as was stated earlier. And we can hear from board member for the authority, Senyo Hosi.
A little over 12 million cedis have been forwarded to the towards that project. That may be reviewed. We are having further meetings today to look at that, but work is definitely being done by government on that particular matter.
And this is being put into the ministry's budget for next year?
Yes, it's in our budget, GHA, which is allotted to us by the Ministry of Roads and Highways. And the commitment to it, I trust, is pretty clear.
So you hear the board member of the Ghana Highways Authority, Senyo Hosi. You're still listening to the Midday News here on Joy 99.7 FM. Stories have covered so far. Students of Nkwanta Senior High School accused of raping female teachers and teachers' wives as school authorities meet the teachers who say they have suffered psychological trauma following last week's students' riots. We'll get latest from that and when we're able to raise a municipal director of education. And also, as more Ghanaians continue to die from accidents on the Medina Adenta Highway, we've got to hear from some school authorities there who have revealed that parents are withdrawing their children for fear of losing them. And still to come,
National Cathedral is a spiritual direction.
It's a spiritual direction, so it's a good thing.
It's a good thing by the time it's wrong.
So is the building of the National Cathedral definitely a spiritual direction? We'll get to hear from Prophet Nigel Gacy, who insists it is, but questions his timing. He also prophesies an NDC victory in 2020.
I've repeatedly seen that they have won. And if they should bring the former president, they'll win.
Let's go,
My name is Kwame Sefakai, and most of you know me as a media personality. But I am also a family man. The UMB mobile banking app, UMB Speed App, saves me so much time by letting me do almost all of my banking transactions on my phone. The cardless withdrawal feature allows me to withdraw cash from any UMB ATM without an ATM card. I can also pay bills, transfer money, request for a loan, invest money, and so much more. So now, I can spend less time at the bank and more time with the ones I love. Bank anywhere and anytime with a UMB mobile banking app, UMB Speed App, and get the time to do what you love most. Download the UMB Speed App from your Android, iOS, or Windows phone today. Call 0302-633-988 for more information. UMB Speed App, Digibank, let's go!
Thank you so much for staying with us here on the Midday News. Time for sports with Benedict Owusu.
Yes, MFR, and former Black Stars striker Odaate Lamptey is backing Black Stars coach Kwesi Appiah to include the Ayew brothers in the squad for the upcoming Africa Cup of Nations qualifying in Ethiopia. Now, Coach Appiah is expected to announce his squad in the coming days for the game in Addis Ababa, and some of the view that Jordan and his brother Andre currently are not on top form for their respective clubs and shouldn't be invited. But Odaate Lamptey sees nothing wrong getting the brothers in after a 2-year out of the team.
So we all know today and Jordan what they can do. I don't think there's problem now. I'm sure because what they can do. That's why he has decided to call them, because this is a crucial moment. We need to win this match at all costs. After not getting the other 3 points, we know that no matter what, we should be able to win against the Ethiopians. We know what is at stake. If we don't win, we are not going to the World Cup. And I'm sure even me and you, when we are in a show, we'll end up calling our best team. I'll end up calling my best team.
Sure.
So this tells you that, yes, Dede and Jordan are one of his best players. That's why he decided to hold on and call them at the right time.
All right, so that's former Black Stars player Odate Lamptey. Actually, Dede and his brother Jordan, you have been out of the team for a year now. Well, MFA, are you a fan of Accra Hearts of Folk?
No, I used to be.
All right, okay. So there's a new badge for the club. It's an evolution of the existing mark, paying careful attention to honor the sacred elements of the club's history, including the oak tree, rainbow colors, and the founding year of 1911. If you want to see it, very, very colorful, very nice badge. You can make your way to the Major Online Sports page and have a look there on the page. But you know, there's UEFA Champions League action tonight, and there'll be live commentary here on Joy FM at exactly 7:55. Now the time has changed, so George and Gary will be on with live commentary. The game on tonight, the top lineup is the Paris Saint-Germain Napoli game. Also, Liverpool will be up against Real Star Belgrade. That's where we have Richmond Boachi Adam. He plays club football. Other big games also coming up: Inter Milan, Barcelona tonight, Tottenham Hotspur, PSV Eindhoven, and also we'll have Atletico Madrid. Thomas Partey expected to play a part in that game. They will be at home to play Dortmund, and then we'll have FC Porto, Lokomotiv Moscow, as well as Schalke 04 Galatasaray.
Of course, you can't miss live commentary here with George Ado Jr. and Gary Al-Smith later this evening. Now let's head to the court, because the Supreme Court has granted a request by lawyers for James Kwabena Bonfe that they are allowed to amend their case against the construction of the National Cathedral. The CPP General Secretary is in court asking for a declaration that government's intention to assist in the construction of the edifice is unconstitutional. Joseph Akable is in court and joins us on the line with more. So, Blay, what changes does Mr. Bonfe's lawyers want to make?
MFR, the specifics we've got is the part of the rate that will be affected. It relates to the declarations, the relief that they are asking that the court should grant. We are told that there are not any substantial matters that would affect the case that they are putting forward, which is their contention that they believe that the state has no business in meddling in religious affairs. In terms of form, we are told they will remain the same, but some changes will be made to the reliefs.
So what was the reaction by the AG to this?
Deputy AG Godfrey Yeboah Adame did not oppose the motion, asking that they be allowed to make the changes. In fact, he said that they have no intentions to take advantage of the leeway that they have to respond to the changes that will be effected. He said they had looked at the application and they think what the AG has filed in opposition to the case against the construction of the National Cathedral is in itself enough.
But when is the next agenda date for this hearing, do we know?
We are expecting the next date to be on November 21, and on that date, if the timelines that the court is working with goes through, then we are hopeful that the Supreme Court may give some directions as to when exactly it will be given its judgment.
Joseph Akable, our court correspondent. Of course, there's a development on the National Cathedral. We'll be hearing from Prophet Nigel Gacy later on in the bulletin. But let's move to another arm of government, because MPs are calling for action to fix the poor nature of roads in the country following the accident over the weekend that led to 6 deaths and Deputy Communications Minister George Anda getting injured. In a statement on the floor, MPs also called on Ghanaians to be vigilant. Joseph Opoku Gakpo joins us with more. So what more have the MPs been saying?
So the Member of Parliament for Lejokuku, Dr. Bernardo Koboy, delivered a statement drawing attention to the accident that Deputy Communications Minister George Anda was involved in over the weekend, and the 6 people who died on the Accra Cape Coast Road as well, and said a lot of these are as a result of the recklessness of drivers, and called for the law to deal with such drivers. And then he went on to raise concern again about deaths on the N1 highway as well as the Adina the Adenta Medina Highway as a result of the absence of footbridges, and said that too much blood has been spilled over the years on that road because of inadequate infrastructure, and said it's about time that action is taken to fix that infrastructural deficit. He got the backing of the minority spokesman on transport, Kwame Agboja, who said more investment is needed as far as the road sector is concerned.
But what more is happening in Parliament? We know that they are starting sitting for this week. Apart from accidents and being vigilant, what else have they been talking about?
There was earlier a statement on governments relying on foreign money in order to develop, and the minority, led by Rashid Talpo, used the opportunity to caution government over how it's managing the money that's coming from China through the Sino Hydro project. But the House is currently still discussing the issue of roads as I speak to you. After that, they would be debating a report on the constitution of various committees, and then a little later in the day, they will be back to considering the Right to Information Bill.
We're hoping that we get some great news on the RTI. That's Joseph Opoku Gakpo reporting there from Parliament. And it's time now to go to the executive. And Elton Brobe is at the presidency, because we know that President Akufo-Addo has rang the bell to start the first ever commodities trading in West Africa. The initiative, regulated by the Ghana Commodity Exchange, aims to give farmer daily real-time prices on agricultural products, reduce post-harvest losses, and guarantee short-term loans. Opening the exchange, President Akufo-Addo indicated that the move will position agriculture as a strong pillar for export and economic growth. And just before we go, just when the dust began to settle on the building of a national cathedral, the founder and leader of the True Word Prophetic Ministry says, though it is a prophetic direction from God, the timing is wrong. Prophet Nigel Gacy spoke to Lexis Bill on the Behind the Scenes segment on Drive Time on Joy.
Those whom the prophecy is to, they have to follow up.
And the NDC have not followed up.
If they will not follow, it's their business.
They've not followed up.
It's their business.
When did this prophecy come?
Last year.
Last year?
Yeah.
And they've still not followed up.
It's their business.
So if they don't follow up, the thing might turn.
That is a national cathedral. Another direction I've been given, that let it be national cathedral.
The what?
National cathedral.
What?
It's a spiritual direction.
It's a spiritual direction. So it's a good thing.
It's a good thing, but the timing is wrong.
The timing is wrong.
Yes, but it's a counter to a prophecy.
Explain that.
It's a counter to anybody that erects a cathedral, regardless of the sins of the person, God will forgive. And the Lord will show that person mercy. So that the NDC be there and let them be joking.
So the cathedral might be the NPP's key.
Their prophet have seen. Their prophet have seen. And they also counter. They keep country. So it's up to them.
That's not all. He also has a prophecy for the NDC.
Interesting. But that particular prophecy about Ghana and the fact that the NDC will win the next election, were you led to do anything else, or you were just led to say it?
No, I've said it, I've said it by the mercies of God more than 16 times, and I'm a prophet. And again, the atmosphere is not. I don't want to make. The listening you say people insult you here and there, and I've had enough of that. But the time has come for people of the Ghanaian to take men of God, especially the prophetic, very serious.
Okay.
When the NDC was in power, I was led to prophesy that they will lose, and they will lose abysmally. That was the word the Lord told me. And they will lose abysmally in Parliament, and it came to pass. And this one, I've repeatedly seen that they have won. And if they should bring the former president, they'll win.
That's former President.
You heard that Prophet Nigel Gacy, founder and leader of the True Word Prophetic Ministries. What's trending on social media, Maps?
Well, people are talking about the Adenta Medina Road, and I'm going to start with Kingsley, who says, so sad, the same people who should fix these bridges will come knocking at our doors for votes come 2020. And Ad D-Boat says, it's only in Ghana where major roads have no markings. What kind of country be this? No traffic lights, no road markings, no street lights, and in the midst of all of this, you get politicians and directors using 13 air conditioners. Now let's go to Parkway Saido on Twitter, and says so many people are getting killed on the Adenta Medina road because there are no footbridges, faulty traffic lights, etc. But there's a minister for roads and MP. Exactly what are you doing when you go to work, and what have past governments done?
Thanks for staying with us here on the Midday News. There's more news when you log on to myjoyonline.com. I am MF Apao. Thanks for your company.